Here.
Laughlin. Bean. Here. Bratton. Here. Brown. Esslinger. Lukemeyer. Moon. Here. Mosley. Here. Rizzo. Here. Williams. We have quorum.
Quorum is established. The committee is in session. Just a couple housekeeping things. I will announce the appointee with a sponsoring senator. Both of those folks will come, and Harrison, our photographer, will take a picture behind the presenter's dais. If you have family here, they're welcome to come up and take that picture as well. And then for the senators, when you're done presenting, go over to Mark and sign a document for him as well. So we will begin today with. I need somebody. We'll begin today with Taylor Burks, a Republican, as a member of the Truman State Board of Governors. And Senator Bean will take the chair. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, pleasure to be before you today to present Taylor Burks as a nominee to the Truman State Board of Governors. Taylor received a Bachelor of Science in Justice Systems in 2008 from Truman State University, Naval Officer Commission, U.S. Navy Officer Candidate School in 2008, Master of Arts in Administrative Leadership in 2013 from the University of Oklahoma, and a Master's of Accounting from WashU in St. Louis in 2016. Taylor is a Navy officer in the U.S. Navy and the Navy Reserves from 2007 to the present. He is the president general manager of Roast Incorporated in Columbia. Was previously the county clerk in Boone County for a season, and I've known Taylor for a number of years. He is a tremendous asset to my community in Columbia and Boone County, and I think the governor hit a home run with this appointment, and I'm sure he'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you, Senator. Any questions for the nominee? Senator Moon.
Good morning, Mr. Burks. I noticed on your curriculum vitae here you were the director of the Missouri Division of Labor Standards.
Yes, sir.
From 2019 to 2021. Tell me a little bit about your experience in that particular position.
Yes, sir. So after I finished my term in Boone County 2018, came over to the Department of Labor and Governor Parsons' administration. We were working to implement some of the rule changes for prevailing wage that were adopted in 2017. Worked there for a couple of years and then left the Department of Labor in 22 for a political campaign.
In that particular position, I noticed in some of the inclusions there you were responsible for looking into child labor complaints. If you can give an overview of what you might have witnessed there or uncovered in that realm.
Yeah, generally not a ton of child labor complaints in the state of Missouri. Usually what happens, we would see a lot parents who are divorced and one parent has custody, their kid goes to work, the other parent doesn't like it and will complain to the Department of Labor. And so we would investigate. So not a tremendous number of child labor issues in the state of Missouri, but that was the general nature of it.
Very good. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any further questions for the nominee? Seeing none, congratulations. Next up will be Senator Gregory Razer, as a member of the State Tax Commission, also Senator Rowden.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the committee, proud to be here today to present Senator Greg Razer as a nominee to the Missouri Tax Commission. You know him well. I will not belabor the point. I think all of his details are in front of you. I served with Greg in the House. We've served in the Senate together. Greg is someone who certainly loves this state and has found numerous ways to serve, obviously within the legislature, but also now obviously the opportunity to serve in the Tax Commission. I think he'll do a great job. He works really, really hard to know the issues that are in front of him, and I've seen that bear out time and time again in various things that we've dealt with in the Senate together. So I think he'll be a great asset to the Tax Commission. We're sad to lose him in the Senate, but I think he'll do a tremendous job, and I'm certain he'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Senator. Any questions for the nominee? Senator Rizzo.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just briefly, this is obviously bittersweet for a lot of us, especially your friends who have had the opportunity to serve with you and watch you be a tireless advocate for your district. And most importantly, obviously, we're all rooting for your success post-Senate, but people are going to have some big shoes to fill, whoever decides to do that. And, you have a lot of friends leaving this place, and that's the way people should leave it. So we're all rooting for you, Senator. You're going to do a great job, and we'll miss you in the Senate.
Thank you, Senator.
Any further questions? Senator Moon.
Senator Razer, I'm not intending for this to be your last attempt at a filibuster necessarily.
No.
But we've talked a little bit about your appointment, and tell us why you want this, and specifically why at this time.
Well, why at this time is because this is a three-member commission, so it's a Republican, a Democrat, and then a wild card, I guess you could say. And I don't know how else you call it. So the Democratic position was up, and frankly, this was not something that I was on my radar. It wasn't something I was after, but the governor asked me to do it. And when the governor asked, you serve. So that's what I'm going to do.
Any other questions from the committee? Seeing none, thank you. Thank you for your willingness to serve. Next up, we have Katie Sinquefield, appointed to be a member of the Public Defenders Commission with Senator Rowden.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. One more time before you today to present Katie Sinquefield as a nominee to the Public Defenders Commission. Katie has a master's degree in public administration, bachelor's degree in art, sociology, and business from the University of Missouri-Columbia. She serves on the board of the Weldon Project, a nonprofit organization dedicated to funding social change and providing financial aid to those who are serving prison time for non-violent cannabis offenses. She also serves on the board of Show Me Defenders, which provides pro bono indigent defense in criminal cases and impact litigation. I've known Katie for a number of years. Obviously, she lives in my hometown, and our sons went to school together for a brief period of time. And played baseball together for a brief period of time. If you know Katie, you know that she cares tremendously about the idea of criminal justice reform and second chances for folks who deserve them. And I think she has worked really, really hard in that space for a very long time now. That work generally is not the most glorified, glamorous work, but it is certainly necessary. Our criminal justice system, I think, is the best in the world, but it doesn't always get it right. And so I think for having folks that are looking out for those individuals that maybe are worthy of and needing a second chance is something that Katie's been passionate about. So I think her presence on the Public Defender Commission will be really a tremendous asset, not only to that commission, but to the state as a whole.
All right, thank you. Any questions from the committee? Senator Moon.
Morning, Ms. Sinquefield.
Good morning.
I didn't actually promise not to ask you a question. And it's not about what we talked about necessarily, but, a lot of people, when they look at prison, those incarcerated, they often think that there's two sides to it. And there really is two sides. There may be a few other things in between. Sometimes they think of people who are wanting to reform are looking at it from only one standpoint, and that is to let those who have committed crimes and been properly served justice to be set free for any reason. Can you tell me what your ideas are, whether to dispel that rumor or to confirm that rumor, or what's your take on that?
I don't know if I'm prepared to answer that.
Well, I think we.
So
we
what do
did
you
talk,
mean, what the rumor?
Well, what I mentioned, some people think that people who are going to be in the position you're in think, well, we just need to open the gates and let them out.
Oh, no.
Yeah, okay. So, okay.
That is not how I feel.
I didn't understand your question either.
Well, I guess I can be gobbledygooky every now and then. But just tell us your take on what your ideas are, perhaps.
Well, I think everyone deserves a second chance. I think they need to have a better reentry. You know, a lot of people, when they get out of prison, they're just kind of let go and they have nobody, they have no money, and so many times they go back into crime and they end up back in the system, and it's pretty cyclical. So
That's what I was hoping to hear, because we talked about just now, it's been 2 weeks ago. I met a man in the hallway just now from the governor's office. He had been released 6 days prior. You could tell he was disheveled, and he had a coat that was not for the current temperatures. And I told you the story. I'm not going to reiterate it here. But I'm hopeful that you'll have an impact that will be positive so that people aren't just kicked out. So,
I hope so. That's my plan.
all right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Senator Rizzo.
Thank you. First of all, I honestly, this is a perfect fit. I mean, I have been working on criminal justice stuff most of my career. My wife has taken it up as a passion of hers, and I know you and I have had many conversations, and honestly, there's a lot of things that wouldn't exist if not for your advocacy for that. And to, piggyback a little bit on Senator Moon's thing, I too agree that violent criminals should probably be in prison, and that people that are innocent or low-level offenders should be looked at differently and given second chances. I always tell people, you don't make peace with your friends, and if anybody ever didn't need a second chance, you wouldn't ever have a problem, right? So I know the only thing that upsets me about it is I didn't think of it. I think you're going to do a great job on this, and I have seen you in action work on this issue, and this is a great fit. And
Thank you.
if I or my office can ever be of any help with you guys over there, please let us know. But you're going to do fantastic.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Senator Mosley.
So what are your plans on reentry for defendants?
Well, I don't say I have a master plan. I mean, I think there's just a lot of changes that need to happen. I don't know exactly what they would be at this point, but I would like to work on change.
Okay, because I just recently received a call from someone who has received a call from an ex-offender and saying that every time he gets hired, but when his background check comes in and shows what he went to prison for, they end up firing him. So do you have any plan for anything like that?
I've been working on a few things. Clean slate, helps clear the record so they don't have to say that they have a record, and if they do a background check, it won't be on there, because I think some people, when they get out of prison, like you said, they have a really hard time getting a job, so some offenses should just be taken off their record so it's not a barricade for them.
So which offenses do you feel should be removed?
Definitely low-level drug offenses, not violent offenses, not offenses against children, child abuse, things like that, but mostly low-level.
Okay. And I think I've asked you this yesterday. What plan do you have to make sure that everyone is getting proper representation?
I'm sorry?
What plan do you have to make sure that everyone is getting proper representation?
Well,
Because a
that's-
lot of times people feel that public defenders don't do their due diligence in representing their clients.
And that's part of the reason why I applied for the Public Defender's Commission, is because the Public Defender's Office is so overwhelmed that the attorneys typically have like 150 to 200 cases at a time. So they need more attorneys, they need more support staff so they can give these people good representation.
All right. Any other questions?
Comment.
Senator Lukemeyer.
This is just piggybacking off of something Senator Mosley said. Not a question, just a comment. A few years ago in the budget, you, along with a few other people, were instrumental in us finally fully funding all the FTEs for the public defender system. And so you're somebody that has shown a great level of commitment to making sure that everybody has their constitutional right to representation in a criminal case. And I just want to thank you for that. Your advocacy on that issue in particular, which cleared the historic backlog of criminal cases that we had in Missouri, I think shows the kind of commissioner you're going to be. So I'm very excited for your nomination.
Senator Mosley.
Okay. Well, piggyback on that. So the ones that actually do get cases and are working on cases, how are you going to ensure that those people are actually doing their due diligence in representing their client?
Well, I think that might be more the position of the director of the public defender's office.
Hmm.
I mean, I don't really think I'd have oversight.
So will you be over the director at all?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so
So
how are you going to make sure the director does what he is supposed to do to make sure that the public defenders are actually defending their clients?
Well, and I think just having more attorneys and more support staff will help with that.
What I'm saying, the ones that actually gets a case and are actually working on the case, how are you going to make sure that they're actually working, doing their due diligence and making sure that they're actually defending their client?
I'm not sure how to completely answer that, as I haven't been on the commission yet, so I don't know how it all works.
Okay.
Senator Bratton?
Well, I just want to thank you for the willingness to want to fully fund and our defenders. I think a lot of it has to do with being able to defend as not being overburdened with caseload. The best way that they're able to advocate for their clients is to make sure that they have the time to be able to defend their client. And so often we see, and I brought this up in our discussion, the prosecution and prosecutor's office, we see this massive influx of funding, making sure that side of the justice system is fully funded, while we've seen the dwindling of funds for years and years for the public defender aspect. And I just think we got out of whack. The pendulum's, it swung too far on one side.
Right.
And we need people that are able to advocate so that they're able to defend properly. And the way that they do that is by making sure we have adequate staff. So, and I know that's what you have committed to and said is probably one of your chief goals, is making sure that that's the case.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
but I appreciate your willingness to serve. Thank you.
Thank you.
Senator Esslinger?
Yes, just very briefly, I just wanted to mention and to tell you how much I appreciate your advocacy on when we have moms that are incarcerated and they're able to stay with their families, stay with their babies. I think it's a huge opportunity for that mom to, that bond period, as you well know, is something that is so important, and it helps them to, when they do get a release, that they have a reason to,
Yes.
to work hard and do well. Just want to appreciate your advocacy for that, and I thank you.
Thank you.
Senator Bean?
Well, appreciate your willingness to serve. This is my portion. Anyway, I think everybody can hear me. Once again, appreciate your willingness to serve, and just like I say, really appreciate you coming to my office and willing to and understanding the issue we're having in the boot heel, and impressed me. You already knew that issue, and once again, thank you very much for willingness to serve and what you're doing.
Thank you.
I think that wraps it up. I don't have any questions, so thank you for your willingness to serve.
Thank you.
Next up will be Andrew Schwartz, appointed to be a member of the St. Louis City Board of Election Commissioners. Senator Rowden is covering this for Senator May.
Nice exodus back there.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman, members of the Andrew Schwartz, who's been appointed to the St. Louis City Board of Elections Commissioners on behalf of Senator May. Mr. Schwartz previously served as Republican Commissioner on this board from 2011 to 2016. In addition to this service, he also previously served on the Multi Travelers Aid Board and currently serves on the Forest Park Advisory Board. Mr. Schwartz runs his own business, which he founded in St. Louis. As of today, he has grown his business to several cities, including Houston, Philadelphia, and Chicago. And on behalf of Senator May, I'm happy to present Andrew Schwartz as member of the St. Louis City Board of Elections.
All right. Thank you. Any questions? Senator Moon?
Good morning, Mr. Schwartz. I was looking particularly at your bio, and when you were in Houston, or there was a Houston-based company that you were part of that serviced adhesive application equipment. Tell me what specifically the equipment, if you can, what the
Sure.
equipment did and how it worked.
Sure. So the equipment we sell, install, and maintain, applies, industrial adhesive onto like folding cartons or cereal boxes or biscuit boxes, things like that.
Okay, good. Thank you.
All right, any other questions? Seeing none, thank you for your willingness to serve. Next up will be Jeremy Schneider as a member of the Missouri Ethics Commission from my area. Thank you. I'm Senator O'Laughlin from the 18th Senatorial District. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I'm here today to speak on behalf of Jeremy Schneider, who's appointed by the governor to serve on the Missouri Ethics Commission. He currently resides in Macon County, Missouri, with his wife and 3 daughters. Having grown up working on a family farm in Warrenton, he transferred his work ethic and passion for agriculture to his study in agricultural systems management at the University of Missouri-Columbia. After graduation, he went on to work as a marketing representative for John Deere for 9 years as a marketing representative in Illinois and Wisconsin. Both he and his wife eventually moved back to Missouri, where he began working for Seidenstricker and Seidenstricker still to me, where he continues his employment presently. Combining his work ethic with his love for his community and for the state of Missouri, I think he's a great pick for the Ethics Commission, and I wholeheartedly support him.
Thank you, Senator. Questions for Mr. Schneider?
Okay. How you doing?
Good, thank you.
So, what would be your role as a commissioner of the Ethics Commission?
So my understanding of it is that I serve on the commission and try to be fair and impartial to the entire ethics committee. I don't know a great deal about it, I must admit that, but I am looking forward to serving the state.
Okay. So, so you don't know what the role is of the
Well, what I understand is when the violations are put in place, there is a staff that looks at them. The lawyers on staff look at them, make recommendations. But the committee ultimately gets together, understands how previous things have gone, and decides what the correct action is with that.
Okay. So, and you said you're going to be non-biased.
Not at all.
Okay.
Senator Lukemeyer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I asked this question of every single nominee to this commission, and the way I kind of phrase it is, do you view the role of the commission as being a watchdog or an attack dog? And what I mean by that is we've seen ethics commissions around the country where they sort of go out of their way to target elected officials. And on the other hand, and that would be the attack dog scenario, sure, where it's like, we're going to find every little mistake and we're going to blow it into the biggest possible thing we can. And then there's sort of the other side of the coin, which is sort of the watchdog, which is we're here to try to make sure that people are compliant with all the campaign finance rules. And, of course, anytime there is a justification for a fine, sure, that needs to happen when there's clear violations of the law. But, campaign finance law can be complicated for people to comply with even when they're using best efforts. And so, and let me just preface this by saying, I believe that our current director and commission has been on that side of the coin from my perspective. But you would be a new person coming on with a new point of view. And so I just wanted to get your perspective on how you view the commission's role.
Sure. So between the watchdog and attack dog variation, I would say I don't even have a dog in the race. quite frankly. I view it much more as a watchdog committee, only because that's being fair and impartial indicates that you're not there to have an axe to grind or anything like that. So that's definitely the way I would look at it.
I appreciate that because again, we've seen examples in other states where, and a lot of the times it's partisan based. Where certain members of state legislatures will get targeted by their ethics commission. Wisconsin would be an example that would come to mind. And so, anyway, appreciate your perspective on that.
Senator Moon.
Good morning, Mr. Schneider.
Good morning.
When you stepped in this morning, I think that minute turned into nearly 2 hours. So I apologize for
Totally
not being
appreciate
able
it,
to
yes.
see you right away. And my question may be self-serving, but as I was looking through your bio, you earned a degree in agricultural systems management, and I wonder if maybe I have missed something because I'm not sure what was involved in that degree. I didn't go to college for ag production necessarily, but what did you learn? What was a highlight of that?
Yeah, so ag systems management, as it's called ag systems technologies today. It's changed over time. Essentially, what that is the production of agriculture and food throughout the system. So think of it as a lot of people went into the grain industry. How do you get the food from the field all the way to the production line? That entails going through elevators, rail, things like that. So a lot of people end up in that form. I ended up in the agricultural equipment industry, as you can see, and we're part of the entire chain to get that food from the field to the fork, essentially.
So you kind of got a taste of everything, in a sense. Yeah.
I did. It was
pun intended.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Further questions for this nominee? Seeing none. Thank you for being here today. Thanks for your willingness to serve. Next up, we will hear Rodney Hendricks, a Republican, as a member of the Missouri Southern State University Board of Governors. Senator Crawford. Go right ahead.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. For the record, Sandy Crawford, District 28. It's my pleasure this morning to sponsor Mr. Rodney Hendricks for the Missouri Southern State University Board of Governors. I spoke to Rodney for the first time several months ago, and we just had a conversation about why he wanted to be on this on the Board of Governors. And rather cliche, but I think what better reason, he wants to give back to the school that he attended, and I think that's a great reason. And Rodney's had a 30-year career with the Army Corps of Engineers. He's been involved in many community activities. He's been on several boards, community and church related. I think he has a well-rounded background, and he's served in several leadership positions, and it's my pleasure this morning to sponsor him.
Thank you, Senator. Questions for this nominee? Senator Moon.
Good morning, Mr. Hendricks.
Good morning.
You still raise cattle?
I do.
What's your breed?
Black cows mostly. Angus.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. Balancer bulls, black.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. This is just rhetorical. We were talking about this the other day, though. When you take the hide off, what's the difference? So anyway, I have a kind of a mixed color herd, but what's your breed? Is it Angus?
Balancer, Angus Gelby Cross, yes.
Gotcha. Okay, good. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Further questions for the nominee? Seeing none. Thank you for being here today. Next up is Michelle Hataway as the Director of the Department of Economic Development. Senator Bernskoetter.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Mike Bernskoetter, like the chairman said, representing the 6th District. This morning I have Michelle Hataway. She's acting director for the Missouri Department of Economic Development. She previously was the deputy director and also served as the director of the Regional Engagement Division, leading 6 regional teams as well as international trade and investment team. She obtained her education from the University of Alabama, and she graduated from the inaugural class of the Missouri Leadership Academy. Michelle and her husband Jackson live here in Jeff City, and they have 2 children, Jack and Gabrielle, and she'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Senator. Good to have you with us today. Questions for Ms. Hataway? Senator Mitt.
We had a good meeting, was it just yesterday?
Yes.
Seems like it's a while ago. But in any case, we talked about sort of your management style and how you relate to those you work with. And I'd just like for you, if you will, to reiterate what you told me and what you'd like us to know about how you work with the employees who are with you, and credit given when credit is due and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, Senator, I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you. Our conversation went around, in this role, you get to go and put shovels in the ground and cut a lot of ribbons and take credit for things that the team that I work with actually does the hard work for. And so I think all of you can relate to this with your staff and your team, but I am nothing without my team and the hard workers of my team. Some of them are here today. Some of them I know are listening online, and some of them are continuing to help Missourians prosper by doing the work that we do. But it is an honor and a privilege to be able to lead them and represent them in this role. So thank you for that opportunity.
Further questions? Senator Meade.
Great to have you here today, and just want to say you and your team do a tremendous job. I've seen you all in action, and once again, fantastic job in this state and even out of the state. I've just got one question for you. When Mizzou plays Alabama, who are you rooting for?
Ooh, okay.
This could be important.
I know, but I don't want to. I want to be honest. I will tell you, I do cheer for Alabama. However, our 6-year-old is a diehard Mizzou fan because he's been raised right in this state, and hates everything Alabama related with sports. So we are raising him right, even though I did, roll with the tide for a few years, right?
Great answer. Thank you.
Further questions for Ms. Hataway? Senator Razer.
First of all, I had a great conversation with you yesterday. I think you're going to do a fantastic job. The only thing that I would ask is, I'm on the way out the door, and whatever time you have at that job, is whenever you get to places to put an emphasis on blighted areas before we start developing, other green spaces. We have so many great places in urban areas as well as rural areas that need redevelopment versus new development. And I grew up in an area like that it just, in my opinion, it just needs a little love and can be brought back to its brilliance and what it was. And I see so many times when decisions are made that they take a space that there's nothing there and put a bunch of new stuff on it, while across the street there's maybe an old, Kmart building that's been sitting there vacant for 20 years or something. So the only thing that I ask is, when you go down that road and you start looking at developments, please take a longer look at some of the places that can be redeveloped versus new development.
No, Senator, I absolutely agree, and will do.
Thank you.
Further questions? Seeing none. Thank you for being here today. Thanks for your willingness to serve. Next up, we'll hear John Mitchell as a member of the Public Service Commission. Senator Razer.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, for the record, Senator Greg Razer from the 7th District in Jackson County, here to present John Mitchell, the governor's selection to serve on the Public Service Commission. Mr. Mitchell in 1988 joined Bernskoetter engineering firm in my district, and over his 34 years with the company, he has served in varying capacities, including project engineer, project manager, and wastewater department manager. John became a principal of the firm in 2004 And when he retired in 2024, he served as the Director of Alternative Project Delivery for Burns & Mac's National Water Practice. He has been a contributing author in the, I want to get this correct, American Water Works Association's publication, Design Build for Wastewater and Wastewater Projects. It's a lot to say. He has served on the board of directors of the American Council for Engineering Companies of Kansas, numerous boards as I looked through this, and received his Bachelor's of Science in Civil Engineering from the University of Missouri-Rolla, now Missouri S&T, and is a licensed professional engineer in both Missouri and Kansas. I'm sure he'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Senator. Good to have you with us, Mr. Mitchell. Questions for this nominee? Senator Moon.
Good morning, Mr. Mitchell. In the work, Design Build for Water and Waterworks Systems, was it a Chapter 20 that you contributed?
Chapter 20
So
on
was
value
that an
engineering.
actual book then?
Yes.
Okay. This may be an off topic. I'd like to talk to you sometime about this with
Sure.
regard to municipal wastewater treatment systems and how that affects communities and maybe the state overall. But that's interesting that you contributed. Do you have any comments on that particular work at all?
Well, it was a really fun project. I got to contribute from my own experience in both the planning aspects, design aspects, construction, and commissioning of water and wastewater systems, really from very small ones to very, very large ones.
And with your work on the PSC, what interests you and what drew you to this particular commission?
Well, that's a great question. The governor's office reached out to Burns and McDonnell, I think at the governor's request, to identify potential candidates that had a deep technical and business understanding of water and wastewater utilities. And I think several names were probably put forward. When I got the call, my wife and I discussed it. We discussed it with our family. We prayed about it a little bit, and we decided that it would be a great opportunity for someone who had retired from that industry to continue to use their knowledge and experience to help the community that we call home.
Thank you.
Further questions for Mr. Mitchell? Senator Bratton.
Thank you very much for being willing to serve in this capacity. Now, if you were, I know your wheelhouse is geared more towards the water and that sort of thing, but I know a lot of it also weighs heavily in the power generation. If you were king for a day, what would be your optimal type of power system to generate good quality power at cheap rates?
Well, I think the water and wastewater utilities aren't they're different in a lot of ways, but they're the same in a lot of ways. And I have always been a firm believer in integrated planning and making sure that utilities are prepared for contingencies. And so, to directly answer your question, I think the answer is a balanced portfolio of various types of power generation. Whether that is base load or wind or solar, I think to provide reliability and safety, we need a broad range of generation options, because at some point some of those options won't be available and others will be. So we need the flexibility and capacity to shift to where the need is and where the demand is.
Sure. But if you were king for a day, I guess what would be your specific type of it? I mean, to provide that steady source of power.
Yeah, I think there's, really no specific type. I think it is a balanced portfolio of sources.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Senator O'Loughlin.
Did anybody say look out for Cindy? So you and I had a long conversation, and I think you're very well qualified, and I'm not intending to try to keep you from getting on the commission, but I do want you to understand my perspective, which is I think that we are rapidly heading toward a time of destabilizing our power generation, and it's very concerning to me. I have been in touch with your chairman, and I know that she understands that. I like the fact that you do have an engineering degree, so you kind of understand, the background of what it takes to generate power. I would like to see the commission continue meeting in person. I think they do meet in person now. They kind of got away from that, and then for a long time didn't meet in person. I like to see commission members who are willing to look at the topics that come up and make their own decisions. I don't think the Office of Public Counsel should be the ones making all the decisions for you. So I like to see you take, that responsibility. And I want to emphasize that you have incredible authority over people's lives, and I don't think that people understood that for a long time, but they're starting to understand it now. And it's concerning. And we'll be, I don't want to say we'll be watching. That sounds kind of terrible, but I'll be in touch with you, at least for the amount of time that I'm in office, and I'm hoping to encourage you to really consider, both sides of the equation. I think our utilities that are creating energy for Missourians to use, I think they do a decent job, so I have nothing against them, but we also have to understand, and we need to have an environment where they can continue to invest and look at new forms of energy that actually are reliable. One would be nuclear. How do you feel about nuclear energy?
Again, I think it's part of a balanced portfolio of energy sources.
It's very costly, too, and hard to really even get into. But anyway, I just want you to know that I do support you, and I want you to think about every time you make a decision. I think the working people of the state of Missouri are under incredible pressure, and one of the things that creates that pressure is the inflationary costs that we see of today, and also, the rates that they're paying for their power. And I've gotten a couple of texts just yesterday about the time of use rates that co-ops are implementing and charging extra if you use your power during the highest time of usage per day, which is probably from 4 to 8 o'clock, which you wouldn't know, but I'm opposed to that. So, working people go to work and they come home and then they start using their power, and now they're having to pay extra to get it when we already have reliable power, which we are in the process of closing down so that we can go to green energy. So those are just some of the topics. I know that you're a very well-educated person and you have a lot of experience, and I appreciate your being willing to serve.
Thank you.
Further questions? Seeing none. Thank you for being here today. Thanks for your willingness to serve. Next up, we'll hear Ann Marie Baker, Republican, as a member of the State Highways and Transportation Commission. Senator Trent.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Curtis Trent, representing Senate District 20.
Here today to present Ms. Anne Marie Baker, who has been nominated to serve on the State Highways and Transportation Commission. Ms. Baker has served her community for over 35 years with UMB Bank in roles such as Regional President, Compliance Officer, and Commercial Relationship Manager. Also is very active in her community on the Junior League of Springfield Board and the Springfield Area Commerce Education Task Force. I'm highly confident that she'll be a great asset to the Commission and to our state, and very appreciative of the committee's time and consideration this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Good to have you here, Ms. Baker. Questions for this nominee? Senator Brad.
Thank you very much for being willing to serve on this board. I know one thing that I've had numerous constituents reach out to is the wildlife that gets hit on the side of the road, and it's left there literally for years and years and years while it just sits and decays on the side of the road, where it used to, like MoDOT, that provided a service of picking the carcasses up off the side of our highways. What's your thoughts on I guess, re-implementing picking up the unfortunate deceased animals on the side of a road? Because I know that's one thing that I've had numerous constituents reach out to. Why on earth aren't we picking these up any longer?
I understand the concern. I'm afraid it's a bit premature question for me, since I don't have any exposure to that directly at this point. Certainly something that can be discussed.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Further questions for this nominee? Seeing none. Thank you for being here today. Thanks for your willingness to serve. Lastly, we will hear Amy Westerman as a member of the Administrative Hearing Commission. Senator Trent also.
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Curtis Trent, representing Senate District 20, here to present Ms. Amy Westerman, who has been nominated to serve on the Administrative Hearings Commission. Ms. Westerman has served her community for over 20 years as a legal professional, most recently Chief Counsel to the Missouri Tax Commission, also currently a member of the Springfield Metropolitan Bar Association and the Greene County Historic Sites Board. Again, highly confident that she will be a great asset to the Commission and to the state, and again, very appreciative of the committee for its time and consideration.
Questions for Ms. Westerman? Senator Mann.
Good morning, Ms. Westerman.
Good morning.
Thank you for the visit we had, I guess it was a week ago.
Yes.
And we had good conversation about prospects of your new endeavor. And I so wanted to talk to you about a particular case, and I won't. But maybe someday it'll come before you, and you'll be able to weigh in. Tell me about your perspective with regard to the commission, the role you'll play, and why you want to do it, and things like that.
Certainly. Thank you for the question, Senator Moon. So the Administrative Hearing Commission, as you know, under Chapter 621 of the Revised Statutes of Missouri, adjudicates the rights of individuals and corporations and companies with regard to the statutes and agencies of Missouri. And my role will be as an administrative law judge, and I see my role as to ensure that the due process rights of those individuals are ensured. And I see that as a very important role, and I'm excited to get started with the commission.
Tell me, if you're able, are the decisions made by the AHC final, or can there be an appeal process if one party or the other doesn't agree with the decision made?
Certainly there is an appeal process, and those appeals are to move on to the court system.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Further questions for Ms. Westerman? Seeing none. Thank you for being here today.
Thank
Thanks
you
for your
so much.
patience. That concludes our hearing. I would make a motion that we go into executive session. Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Opposed say no. We are in executive session. I would make a motion that we roll all of these appointees into one slate for consideration on the Senate floor. Moved and seconded. Discussion on that motion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed say no. We now have a slate before us, and I would move that that slate be voted do pass. Moved and seconded. Discussion on that. And for the benefit of the body, we will not be doing the reappointment today. We need to get a little bit more information. He's on your list, but we'll do him probably next week. I have a do pass motion in front of us. Any discussion? Chris, call the roll.
Senator Rowden.
Aye.
O'Laughlin.
Aye.
Bean. Aye. Bratton. Aye. Brown. Esslinger. Aye. Lukemeyer voted chair. Moon. Mosley voted no. Rizzo. Aye. Williams.
By a vote of 8-1, that slate passes. I make a motion that we move out of executive session and adjourn. Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. We are adjourned.